When the Waverley line was closed over 40 years ago, the bridge here at Wheatlands Road in Galashiels was taken down. Now a brand new maroon structure has been put in place by one of the largest cranes in the country. With a price tag of thousands of pounds a day, there was no room for error, and as the monster vehicle delicately swung this beam into place, there was a sigh of relief as everything went to plan. But that wasn't the end of the activity in this area of the town, and literally about 100 metres away, they were preparing for another delivery. Another day and another beam, this time in the colours more associated with local rivals Hoyk, as the first of several green beams made its way through the town to arrive at its final destination. And it wasn't long before the crane was in action again, lowering this one into place and spanning the Gala water. Meanwhile, down at Curry Road, the landscape was about to change forever. This was the scene in early May, with the completion of the supporting structure for the bridge. And this is how it looked after the two main beams had been slotted into place. Evidence that 1 year on from the start of the works, you can almost sense the anticipation that trains will soon be travelling again through Galashiels. At Bowland, a new bridge is well underway to carry trains over the road between Clovenfords and the junction of the A7. At the start of our first series, this was the view at Stow Bridge looking north. And just over 6 months on, you can see the progress which has been made. Further along at Fountain Hall, there's been big changes. This was the scene over 6 months ago. Fast forward to June 2014 and the new access road taking traffic over the railway line is well on course. In the next episode we'll be visiting Heriot, Fallowhill, Harden Green and Sheriff Hall to take a look at the substantial work which has gone on in those areas.
Well, I've always raised questions about the amount of money that's been spent on the Borders Railway, and I've always raised concerns that this railway was sucking resources away from other transport projects within the Borders. And I get a lot of letters from constituents talking about buses and roads investment and asking why more is not being spent on other projects. And very often I get a response back from the Scottish Government that the railway to Galashiels will help all these other problems. And for many people, they find that very hard to believe. If you live in Coldstream or Duns or Hawick, the fact that the railway is coming to Gala is good news for Gala, but what about the buses, what about the roads, what about the other transport projects across the borders? All of the borders needs to have a good transport system, and my concern, consistently my concern, has been that this railway to Gala is sucking resources from other transport initiatives, and all the borders need good transport, not just Galashiels.
This isn't about the borders versus the railway. The railway is part of the borders, let's understand that, and it's going to happen. It's not the railway instead of everything else. The railway is part of everything else, and the railway will be a force for good in the borders. And I think everyone would better serve the borders by getting behind the area and saying, this is an area that's open for business, that's open for tourism, that's open for development, and this will help, put the borders back on the map.
Let's get some of those roads dualled, let's improve the access by road, and then when we've done all that, and if we've got money left over, then we can talk about more railways.
Let's understand that the money for the railway is ring-fenced. If it wasn't spent on the railway, it wouldn't be getting spent elsewhere in the borders. This is a project within itself which we should be grateful for in the borders, as it brings the borders back into the railway network and exposes the area to a whole new market, something that the borders hasn't had for generations. And that to say that if we hadn't had the railway project, we'd have road projects, or indeed, why make it just about transport? This could be any other part of the border's infrastructure and economy. That simply isn't the case, and we all know that that's not the way that the government finances work, and that to say that if we do away with the railway, or if we didn't have the railway, then we'd have all these other things, simply isn't the case. It's up to every other aspect of Borders life and business to make the case for its own improvements in infrastructure and its own improvements and development. And of course, the people like myself who support the railway support the borders as well. And I would campaign just as vigorously for other improvements in the borders, and I would welcome any other improvements in the borders.
The main benefit that I can see for my own business is the ultimate increase in population for Galashiels, which obviously gives us access to more potential customers. It's really as simple as that for me. I can't think of a town or a city anywhere in the world that has seen its financial prosperity go down because of an improvement to the transport infrastructure for that town. The railway can only be good news for Galashiels and the borders, period.
Not everybody lives in Galashiels or Melrose, so once they're already in the car, they're not going to go and find somewhere to park the car or go to the park and ride and get on the train to pay more to go to Edinburgh than they would be paying in fuel. Especially if there's 2 or 3 in a car. If there's 2 or 3 in the car, it's a vast saving even over the bus. I'd love to see the steam coming back. That's what we want to see in the borders. Not a diesel with half a dozen people on it, sitting there bored to tears while it gets up and down, and then have to find their own way from the stations.
There was so much material that really was the only way to do justice to it. And it's not just about the towns and the stations, it's about the rural stations, it's also about the industry as well, with links into gasworks and mills, collieries further north up towards Edinburgh. So that was the main stream of the story, was to get that over and to show just what a lifeline it was. It's a severe learning curve because you kind of tackle one thing and then find another one needs tackling. So you answer one question, but then you ask yourself another one. particularly around Fusey Bridge, where you've got the quarry line down to Esperton quarries. You've got the colliery lines going up to places like Vogrie and all those kind of places. Now, I can remember coal trains in that area, and I can remember obviously the mine around Gore Bridge and Newton Grange, and of course one of those is now a museum. But you remember that, and we used to go up to part of the highlight when we came up here on holiday, because we would come up here for a week or two every school holidays and at other times of the year too during the school holidays. So we would come up here, and then part of the trip was to go for the day to Edinburgh, up to the castle or the zoo or something like that. So it was always an interesting time. So I can remember all those kind of trains in Miller Hill and the big sheds at St Margaret's, although you don't really take it all in. You used to write the numbers down, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to do it all again.